We started then to move towards, in the US, this was machines like the Amiga, machines like the Atari ST, the IBM PC was starting to appear. You know, this was things like the Apple II. You know, these are great machines, and what I learned from all of these machines is there are some fundamentals of programming and graphics that never change. And if you can learn these basics, one of the toughest things today, even though I'll get to this in a moment about how it's changing, one of the toughest things is the business and the technology has become so big and so complicated that it's hard to just write even a Hello World app for a PlayStation 3. Obviously, memory keeps going higher, bigger, more memory. Storage keeps going bigger. We have to fill more. We have more space to load from. Processors keep going faster. And that's been true for a long time. That's one of the things that actually is less relevant today than it's ever been. But this, and I'll get to that, this was a fight we were always having. Because we would get a new machine, hello, and somebody would say, well, we've got all this memory, we've got a faster processor, what are we going to do with it? Okay? And, you know, I sit in front of Skype live with my friends, lots of them on a screen today, and I just shake my head at what we were trying to sell back then. Okay? But the point is, everybody looked at that product and went, oh my gosh, this product could never have been done before because it would have shipped on 100 floppy disks and you would have to have sat there doing this for an hour. It worked, and we went on to sell 1 million copies of that thing, and it's because it was one of the products that was defining. It was one of the products that people looked at and went, wow, there was just this big step function in storage, and look at what you can do with it. So the favorite game on the Sega Genesis? Sonic.
Yeah!
Oh,
yeah! Talk about that music.
Michael Jackson.
Wow. Michael Jackson. That's scary. Okay. So that whole business was running in parallel. CD was what started to pull it together. Okay. In a way, for the longest time, the console business has followed this step function model against the PC like this. They went to this company and they said, we want to build an online bulletin board system and chat space for our developers, and it'll be awesome. We want it to work on the Apple, and it'll be graphical. And we want you to copy that user interface. They were like, great, we'll do that. They hired them to do it. They were a small company in Northern Virginia. Quantum Systems. Who knows who Quantum Systems became? Anybody? Wow, you're all moments away from finding it if you just go Google it. Okay? This is what they became. So AOL started out as Quantum Systems. They built a gaming system for modems called, on Commodore 64. Apple liked what they'd done, came along, bought 20% of the company, got them to build this thing called Apple Link. It was all for developers. Everybody looked at it and went, this thing's great. Everybody else is worrying about text and having to type. You know, being online looked like being on DOS, right? People were on all sorts of crazy services. This is pre-browser, remember? And this company became AOL. Wait a minute, so you switched from the Sega side to the Sony side? You were one of those guys?
No.
Come on, this is a religious debate.
No, I don't know what year you stuck in, but the PlayStation, the first one came out in 95, at the same time you mentioned about when the Windows 95 came out.
Yeah, it was all happening. And what was crazy was you could go and buy a PlayStation for a few $100, which was an entire machine, including a CD drive, when just buying the drive for your computer cost more than that. And now, how can they afford to even do that? But it's a business decision. It's about installed base. And it's also about what you're passionate for. Because people were producing games for the Sega, the Dreamcast, the Saturn, the 32X. They killed themselves by releasing all these machines and confusing people, right? There was all this hardware coming to market over a limited period of time, and there was a huge transition happening. there was another transition happening that was happening not because of one of these, or kind of because of this one, but it was kind of happening in parallel to CDs. And it was probably the scariest thing that happened to programmers ever. Suddenly programmers had to learn this. Because suddenly their 2D side-scrolling world of sprites where the only things you had to think about were these. Suddenly, I'm not even going to try and draw the polynomial occasions that became 3D. I don't even know how to talk about it. Right before that was when I went, I don't want to go anywhere near this.